Hi yogis. Today we're going to do some yin yoga and myofascial release for the lower body. For this practice you'll need a couple of tennis balls or therapy balls. The rounder ones are going to be a little kinder to you, although if you only have those spiky balls that will do the job, but just keep in mind there's a little bit of extra stuff going on with those spikes. And if you have bricks, that will come in handy as well a little bit later on. 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter. We're not moving a whole lot in this class, so layer up, make sure you're able to stay nice and warm and keep some layers close by as we move on. You may find that things cool right down quite quickly. Let's start standing up. Grab your ball, have that handy. Just starting with 1. We're going to start with the feet. So if balance isn't with you today, feel free to have your hand on a wall or on a chair. This isn't an exercise in balance. We're looking to work through the soles of the feet a little bit. We're going to roll over the entire sole of the foot. And it's up to you. We want to find sensation that comes in at a max 7 out of 10. That's going to be our magic number. We don't need to go for something really deep or intense to be able to get the full effect of what we're aiming for here, which is that release of all those kind of sticky, knotty tissues. So it's up to you how much pressure you're putting on, how much you're leaning into that ball, how deep you want to go. There is absolutely no need to chase the pain, so resist that urge. Focus a little bit on the ball of the foot. Then we're going to go to the big toe. So if you're able to use your ball, if you have a little bit of a slippery floor, you might put a block or even press your ball up against the wall. You want to get your big toe so that your big toe is flexing up. And you can add as much or as little weight as you like here. Find a position where you're feeling sensation, you're getting that stretch. Take a couple breaths. For these shapes, you're not having to come into a complete stillness. So as we warm into this shape, our body kind of gets used to probably a position that you don't often find your foot or your toe in. Shift in and out. Add a little bit more load, a little bit more pressure. Take some weight. Notice how these sensations change. So if you kind of shift your weight to one side a little bit, if you move your body around, does this add or take away from what you're feeling in the toe or in the foot? And take a couple more breaths here. We're going to move along, so you're going to go for the second and third toe, pressing up against that ball. Again, add as much or as little weight as you like. Again, shifting your body, placing that pressure in different parts of the foot, the ankle, on the ball. 7 out of 10. Nothing too intense. Couple more breaths here, and then we'll shift over to the last 2 toes, the 4th and 5th toe. See how they feel as you add a little bit of pressure. And of course, if now you need that little extra grip, put your ball up against the wall or your brick. Go easy. If you're feeling a lot of sensation, ease it in and out. Maybe don't add as much pressure. Maybe you're leaning back a little bit. Release that ball, get a little bit more of a massage over that sole of the foot. Focus a little bit more on the heel as well. Okay. You can bring your foot down onto the ground, and it's moments like these when we've done one side that it's nice to kind of just check in with how both feet feel compared to one another. Does the foot that you just had a little roll out feel a little bit puffier, a little bit warmer, feel like it's kind of on the ground a little bit more? Maybe, maybe not. Let's move to the other side. Starting, again, just rolling around the entire sole. If you kind of find a nice sweet spot that you want to get into, go for it. Thinking about the arch of the foot, the ball of the foot. And so particularly in wintertime when we are in a lot more heavy shoe or footwear, the feet and the ankles don't often get a lot of love and attention. They're often wrapped up. So give them a little roll out. See if we can open up that foot a little bit more. Okay. So we're going to go back to that big toe, flexing that big toe up on the ball, adding more or less weight. How does it feel as you move or shift your body? Okay, a couple more breaths here with that big toe on the ball. Release that big toe. Let's go for the second and third toe. Having them press up, get a nice stretch. Couple more breaths here. And let's shift that over the last part of the toes, the fourth and fifth toe. Seven out of 10. Nothing painful, nothing sharp. All right, couple more breaths. Coming off, give that sole of the foot a little bit more of a roll. Get into the heel a little bit. And let that other foot come to the ground. See how it feels to stand on your feet. Does it feel a little different? Do your toes feel as though they're spread a little bit wider than they were before? All right, let's come down onto the mat. And so we're still going to work with the feet a little bit here. We're going to come into toes pose to begin with. So we want to tuck the toes under. We're not going to stay here too long. We'll get the toes under. And if you're able to sit up, putting a little bit of weight into the feet, great. Otherwise, shift your weight forward, maybe even bringing your hands to the ground, or maybe bringing your hands to blocks. Try here to make this shape a little bit more active. So as your toes press down into the ground, feel for almost trying to slide your toes back. So you might even feel like you get this extra little buoyancy or lift up. So you push the toes down and try and slide them. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And shifting forward, uncurl the toes. You might want to give them gentle tap out on the mat. We're going to sit hips back to the heels. And this might be where you stay. This is super uncomfortable, even mildly uncomfortable. Get a block or a cushion to support your hips a little bit more. You might sit there for a little bit, aiming to get through the front of the shins and the tops of the feet. You might feel like you can take a little bit more, thinking about pressing down through the top of the foot, where your toes meet the top of the foot. So you can have your hands on the ground, you can have them just slightly next to the hips or slightly further back. Keep your body nice and long. Begin to shift your weight as you press down through the tops of the foot. See maybe if you can get your knees to lift. Just be aware if your feet are flaring out, if your heels are kind of poking out the side. We want to try and keep the heels as straight as possible so the ankles are nice and straight. You might even take your hands to rest them. Let's take one more breath. You can use your hands to support the legs back down to the mat. Shift yourself forward, come off the feet. And again, maybe a little tap out feels appropriate. Okay. I'm going to move into the ankle here. So if you're comfortable sitting cross-legged, great. Otherwise, have your leg out in front. We're just going to create a little bit of a kind of rest for just above the ankle. Use your fingers interlace them in between the toes. And have a moment there. You might kind of give your foot a little bit of a massage. You want to let the foot be really heavy and relaxed. Let the ankle relax here, particularly as we get moving. We're going to circle through that ankle. Your ankle will have a tendency to want to take over and do the work. See if you can let that ankle relax. The arm is going to do the work for you. A couple circles. Noticing as you make these circles, is there a certain place in this circle that perhaps the ankle is a little tighter, or perhaps the ankle feels like it needs to jump in? Is there any point where it feels a little sticky? Let's take that circle in the other direction. All right. A couple more times. And then releasing fingers. We'll uncross the legs, bring the feet to the mat, and give the legs a little bit of a rock. You can let the hips shift as well with the legs. We'll take that cross or that seated position to the other side, again creating some little platform for your ankle to rest on the leg. Interlace your fingers once again in between those toes. You might give your foot a little massage just to make this a little bit more comfortable. Hopefully we've opened up the feet and there's a little more space there. Again, we're going to take a couple circles. Does this ankle feel a little different to the first? Does your ankle want to take over the work that we're having the arm do? Okay. Take that circle in the other direction. A couple more times around. Release the fingers, bring the feet to the ground, and maybe a little windshield wiper once again. Okay. So remembering you can layer up. We're finished with the feet now, so if you want to get a pair of socks onto the feet, take a little bit of time, particularly if it's cool where you are. We're going to work into the calf a little bit more here, so let's grab a ball. We're going to do both sides, so you can start wherever you like. Using your ball, we're going to place it on the mat. You can bend the opposite leg and lift that leg so that it is not kind of resting on the ground. We're going to shift forward and back along the calf. Try not to come to the space underneath the knee or kind of down near the ankle. We want to just hit above the ankle and just below where that soft space above behind the knee is. Finding those sweet spots. You can turn your leg externally, internally, you can have it neutral. See where you find any little tight spots. For me, I've got this tight line running down the outer side of my calf, so that's where I'm going to focus for now. If that is different for you, that's fine. Move your leg, have a little massage. What part of your calf needs your attention today? And so we're thinking about moving up and down the leg, nice, long, gentle strokes. And if you find a little point that needs a little bit more attention, you can hang out there and kind of let your leg be heavy on it, let your body flop down. Find it's kind of a little bit more acupressure point massage. We're going to take another minute or so here, so whether you're finding a nice still spot or you're still rolling up and down. Couple more breaths. If you've had a little time to be still, maybe just prepare your body to move. Maybe the breath gets a little deeper. Maybe you start massaging and rolling a little bit more. Relax. The hands come off the wrists, of course, give them a roll out. And again, how does that one calf feel compared to the other? We're going to give that other leg a go, and so give yourself some time to move up and down, explore the calf, explore the rotation of the leg. Finding any sweet spots that need a little extra attention. And again, just above the ankle to just below the knee. If you're feeling like your hands are taking quite a lot of load as you move around, you can come down to your forearms and shift the ball by kind of gliding yourself along the ground. Massaging the calf. Nice long sweeps up and down. It'll take about another minute or so here. And so we're slowly, if you found a still spot, shift. Prepare your body to move off of that ball. as you release the legs, hopefully they're feeling a little bit more evened out now. All right. We're going to come into a lunge position from here. So again, whichever leg you want to do first. What we want to try and do is get the knee to come over towards the toes rather than stay stacked above the ankle. This position is perfectly normal, perfectly fine to come into. We want to keep the heel on the ground, but if you've ever walked upstairs, you've come into a position like this. So it is completely fine, and we'll probably do it a little bit more often than we think. So I'm going to use my bricks to hold me up. As I shift knee over towards the toes, heel stays on the ground, and you can hang over your bricks. You don't have to be straight, lined up with the long end of your mat. You might find you get a little bit more if you shift over to one side and take a little bit of a side bend as well. So you can choose. The beauty, the magic of these positions are in those nuances. So how can we shift a little bit to get a little bit more out of our shape? And we want to relax the body as much as we can here. So resist the urge to grip or hold or push or squeeze. Let your body settle into a position that you can hold for a few minutes. And when we relax through the body, relax through the muscles, this is when we get into that deep connected tissue. If we're engaging through muscles, if we're holding ourselves, it's the muscle that will tend to take that stretch sensation. So as best you can, relax, release gripping through the muscles so we can get into that deep connected tissue. Adding a little load. Take 1 more minute in this position, if you're able to stay, knowing that you are never stuck. You can move, you can shift, you can take a break at any time. Let your breath and your awareness slowly grow. Be gentle, be slow as you come out of this position. You don't want to shock the body, shock the tissues. It might feel nice to get a little bit of movement going as you release, or perhaps you prefer to just hang out and be still in a different position. Your choice, your body. Only you can really know what it's asking for. Okay. As you come out of that position on one side, let's switch to the other. So as you come into the shape on the other side, we're not kind of just taking over where we finished on the first side. Ease yourself in as if This for the first time you've taken a shape like this. Let the knees shift over towards the toes, your heel stays on the ground. Body relaxing into this shape. And again, you might want to stay long and neutral. You might want to take a little bit of a jaunty angle. Whatever you did on the first side doesn't mean you have to repeat it on the second side. Completely up to you what you do here. You certainly won't end up lopsided if you spend a couple minutes working slightly differently. Relaxing muscles. 7 out of 10, still our magic number here. Can you relax around the face, around the jaw? Do you like letting your head hang, or do you want to keep it somewhere a little bit more neutral? Maybe even rest the head in the hands. You want to feel supported as you settle. Spending time and seeing if our body opens, we feel little shifts. And we have about 1 minute left here. As we come to the last few moments of this shape, let the breath deepen, preparing yourself to move out. And slowly shifting, taking the load off the back leg, taking the load off the front leg. Movement or stillness, whatever you feel you need on this side. Right. So we're going to come back to our balls. One ball will do the job for this. What we want to do is work on the glute area. So we're going to be sitting on our ball and we want to move it around, and maybe we will find a little sweet spot where we want to be still. So I'm going to set my bricks up here to rest my arms on, but you can always rest on your hands if you find that that's comfortable for your hands and wrists. We sit down on our bottom, the bricks behind us if you're using them, or even a cushion or a bolster will do the job. Starting with whichever leg you want, cross the ankle over the thigh, so you're making an upside down number 4 shape. And it's on that leg, so I've got my left leg folded over. We're going to get the ball underneath the left cheek. And I'm going to start on my hands actually, lifting up, have a little roll over that ball, and I've already found a tight area here. So you don't have to stay with your hips pointing skyward, you can shift your hips in either direction, rolling. Your hands are going to be what give you more or less weight, as well as how far or close that grounded foot is to your body. shifting, rolling, finding those sweet spots that need a little attention. And if you do come to a place that needs a little bit more, again, you might find a little acupressure and hold yourself on there. See if you can relax that glute muscle. It's quite easy once you find a sensitive area for your body to resist and grip. So as best you can, relax as you're massaging with that ball. Rolling out those tight areas. And here again, we certainly aren't chasing pain. 7 out of 10 always is our sweet spot. Alright, let's do another minute or so on this side. I feel like I could stay here all day. Another minute or so. Keep relaxing those glutes. Notice if you're gripping. And so for the last few moments, if you know that you've been kind of sat still, getting that acupressure point, maybe you begin to shift and roll a little bit more. Slowly rolling off that ball, move it out of the way. And slide out the leg, uncross them. If you have been on the hands, maybe roll out the wrists or shake out the arms a little bit. And here's another one. How does your left and right glutes feel compared to one another? And taking a few moments just to let that all sink and settle in. All right, we're going to do the other side. Using your ball, crossing your ankle over, we've got that upside down number 4, and of course, you can slide that grounded foot further away if you don't want that kind of close up leg. Rolling, and again, if you don't have breaks, come down to your forearms, give your wrists a little bit of a break. Having a little roll around. How does this cheek feel compared to the first one? You can always use your hands to adjust the ball. You're kind of like not stuck in that place. Place and replace. Pause, start again. 7 out of 10, that's what we're looking for always. Rolling around, pausing when you find a sweet spot. And let's do another minute or so here. if you've been resting, maybe finding that one little point, perhaps now you start to shift a little bit. Rolling yourself off that ball, uncross the leg, get that ball out of the way. Move, be still. How do those glutes feel now? Alright, we'll finish off with our bricks. We're going to take a supported bridge position. So you start perhaps on your lowest setting. Pillows, blankets will do the job just as well if you don't have bricks. If you want to get a little higher, you can always stack a second brick or come to the second height. Unless you know your body loves a little bit of back bend, I wouldn't go to the highest setting. So placing that brick underneath the pelvis should feel quite nice. You can have the knees bent, you can have the arms overhead, you can lengthen one or both legs. Don't worry too much if you find that your feet splay in a particular direction. You want to find this sense of really softening down through the pelvis so that there's a little bit of release through the vertebrae in the low back. As the mid to upper back touches the ground, visualize the vertebrae separating, decompressing their space. Letting the rest of your body relax. And if at any point this gets too intense or perhaps the sensation changes, feel free to shift the block or lower it. Feel free to move it out of the way completely. We're going to do another minute or so here if you're able to stay. Nothing painful, nothing sharp. Any sensation should be a mild, broad ache. And if the legs are long, perhaps you begin to bend them to bring them onto the mat. The hands might come down so that they're ready to capture that brick as you push down through the feet and lift off that brick. Sliding the brick out of the way, lower down onto the mat. It might feel nice here to come into a constructive rest for your final shape, letting the knees drop in towards one another, keeping the feet nice and wide. So they don't quite reach. You could always use a little brick just to kind of bridge that gap if it's too much internal rotation for you. If this position doesn't feel appropriate or there's something else you feel your body needs, go with that instead. Let's allow the breath to deepen. As the breath deepens, maybe the movement begins to grow. Moving in any way that feels good, any way that the body is asking for. And when you feel ready to do so, make your way up into a comfortable seated position. As you come to your seat, hands might rest in the lap or at heart center. We'll offer this as a gesture of gratitude for ourselves, our body, our practice, for everything we are capable of. Thank you for practicing with me, and I'll see you next time. Take care.